I'm going to call the meeting to order. Currently, there are 7 members present. I am expecting a couple of more, at least if and when they get here. So, like I said, a quorum is present. Unless there's objections, I am going to take the GMP questions first on the agenda. I'll be moving the Greenville from 4 to 3, and so we'll start. So we're going to start with review of the GMP for Stanton. So Mike, I've done multiple share deals, so you can go ahead and put up whatever you got there regarding Stanton, what we got going on at this point. I don't know who's gonna lead the charge on this. Was that going to be you or?
Well, what I'll do is a facet of, can everyone see the screen?
Yep. I can.
Everyone else can see it?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, so basically what I'm reflecting is the overall project cost for the project. When you hear from Downs, you'll see that the figures match as far as the revised project budget as to where we are right now. So after all of the dust settled and, we got through the GMP review, the final GMP value that includes all of the construction and staffing costs for the project came in at $54,646,284. You will notice that there's a slight difference from the previous budget in that I was reflecting state permit fees outside of the GMP. The state permit fees are included within the GMP. Ultimately, that value will need to be paid directly by the owner to the city so then the city can in turn pay the state. We have those figures, so we're good to go on that. The other thing I should mention as it relates to the budget that's also not reflected within this budget is some savings that the city will see as it relates to utility costs. The developer agreements based on some discussions that NPU had with the commission will be coming down. The EDU values were lowered quite a bit, and once I receive those values, that amount will also get lowered and provided back to owner contingency. Before I move over to the Greenville overall project budget, does anyone have any questions as it relates to this one?
Hearing none, we'll move on. We'll hear the information regarding Greenville, then we'll go back and vote on them individually.
All right.
That's
So,
okay.
I can't center this. I don't know. There it is. Okay, as it relates to the Greenville project, the savings from the CD estimate ended up being right around 1 million. Well, it was $1,116,085. The total GMP value came in at $67,356,903. Same notes as it regards to utility costs and state permit fees. Those are now included in the GMP. And you'll notice again that the value has been added back to owner contingency as it relates to this project.
And how much is the owner contingency up to now?
We went from 3,756,000. We incurred some costs as it related that we used from owner contingency to pay for some amendments to DRA's contract, as well as a small figure for the stormwater management permit, as well as a City of Norwich permitting fee as it related to the special permit and inland wetlands approval that we incurred. So the contingency was increased by, once everything washes out, it was increased by $921,922.44.
Okay.
I am going to stop the share as it relates to this and let
Frank?
Mark,
take it over from here.
Yeah, Frank, do you want to start with Stanton, I guess?
yeah, wherever you like, we can start with Stan. That's fine.
And you all the members should have these documents already. So You should have got them in your email a little while ago.
All right, can everybody see that?
Yep, I can.
All right, so just kind of, overview here, kind of broad overview of the GMP. So there's 9 different attachments that make up this GMP. I want to just kind of go basically one by one and go through it with you. And obviously, if there's questions, we'll take questions, and then we'll just continue to move through this sequentially as it's organized here. So the GMP summary is the first attachment. You'll notice in the upper left, it says GMP attachment 1. This is essentially the financial summary of the project as it stands today. You'll notice the columns, the first column all the way to the left, that is essentially nothing more than just a trade contractor package number. The general summary is organized by trade, which we've gone through in terms of the bid coverage. A lot of you have been brought up to speed about the coverage we had, who the contractors are. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on each individual trade contractor. As we move down this list beyond the trade contractors' contracts, we have a number of allowances that are included with this GMP. We've assembled 6 allowances, most of which were part of the CD estimate. And then as we went through bidding and finalized the GMP, some of these numbers evolved just based on the conversations that we had with individual trades and recognizing the scope that we needed to cover all of the work associated with this project. So we've got 6 allowances, and then we've got our markups, and of course, our general conditions, the markups being the insurance, our payment and performance bond, there's a CM contingency and fee. So let me just go back up to the top and clarify something here. So right at the top of this general summary, starting with the project requirements. So the $819,093 that is part of project requirements. So that is essentially requirements such as the temporary toilets, the dumpsters. There is general cleanup that goes into this number. And there's also a big part of this number is temporary stair towers to get access around the building prior to the permanent installation of stairwells. The trade amounts, again, we've been through this. We actually have an LOA, if you guys recall, where we've got critical trades already started on submittals. We've already released about half of the trades that are listed here. Essentially, everybody aside from the finished trades, so concrete, masonry, steel, the mist metal, roofing, glass and glazing. We've got an LOA for that, and then the rest of these trades, based on tonight, if we move ahead, the rest of these trades will be getting authorization after this evening. The total trade cost down here, trade package total, essentially all the trades, including our project requirements with the allowances, totals $48,891,513. The markups associated with the project, the state education fund, the permit fees are waived, aside from the state education fund that's associated with the permitting process. The general conditions is our staffing requirements. So essentially for this project, we have a full-time PM on the project. We have a full-time assistant project manager, and we have a full-time superintendent. This project, Stanton, is a 17-month project to get through construction of the new school. And then there's 12 months to get through the demo and abatement portion of the existing school. And there's a couple months allotted for the closeout process. So with the markups, again, the bond, the insurance, the contingency, and the fee, we round out at $54,485,514. And in comparison, we left the comparison here off to the side, the CD budget that we had, we got to the end of the pre-construction effort. The CD budget came in at roughly 57.3 million. So we're about 2.7 million under that based on the bids that we took. And of course, taking into account the other costs that I mentioned, the project requirements and our staffing costs. Is there anywhere in particular you guys wanna touch on? Is there any questions as it pertains to any of the trade costs, any of the allowances, or any of the markups?
Any questions? Hearing none.
All right.
Let's move on to Greenville. Well, wait a minute, the next piece anyway.
Yeah,
I'm getting ahead of myself here. There's only like 8 other sections.
Sounds good to me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so the alternates associated with the project, again, we did touch on this the last time we met. And probably at the next meeting, not this one, but we'll be having more discussions about the rest of these alternates that are not included with the GMP right now. But as most of you know, the screening alternate was approved at the last special meeting, I believe on April 3rd. So that 480,650, that is already built into the GMP, as well as the CM alternate, which was the deduct. If awarded both schools, that yielded some savings, roughly 146,000. That's also included in the GMP. So the bleachers, the digital sign, we put TBD there only because these alternates are associated with packages that are currently out to bid right now. It's part of the general trades package. So technically, they're not included with the GMP. We're carrying general trades and millwork in the GMP right now as an allowance. I believe we went through this the last time we met. The tennis court and fencing upgrades, 37,500, currently not included in the GMP. And then the curbing to switch to concrete in lieu of the asphalt curbing, alternate 4 for 132,600, also not included right now with the GMP. Any questions on that? All right, so moving right along. The unit prices, so there were a number of unit prices that we compiled for bidding purposes. Essentially, the main reason behind putting some of these, or putting all of them for that matter, putting them together, is to establish a unit cost should down the road we come across a condition where, as an example, unit price number 1, we have more PCB waste to dispose of. We have a unit cost that we can fall back on. If there's a change order associated with that work, we can rely on the unit cost to basically lock us into a number. So we did that with a number of items here. We've got 9 different unit prices, most of which, relate to the demo and abatement, including the soil, depending on what type of soil we may run into. If there's polluted soil, impacted soil, or contaminated soil, we have some unit prices there to deal with that. Monthly fence rental, concrete, I don't expect that to come into play. Miscellaneous signage, if we had to add more signage, we have a unit cost associated with that, as well as bollards. And let me just blow this up a little bit. And some accessible parking signs And then we were asked to come up with a unit price for the concrete culvert. Because there may be a concern about the condition of that. We won't know until, we do some more investigation out there. But we have a unit cost should we need to deal with that, potentially remove it and replace it. Any questions on the unit costs?
Do we have unit cost already? What we would expect to have for cost associated with these? Do we have those included already in the GMP?
Well, no, we don't. This is kind of a scenario that if we need to, if we need to spend money to make a repair to this culvert, right? This and do a new 36-inch RCP. It's based on this unit cost, and then we, once we do a forensic investigation and we come up with a number of feet, then that would establish the cost associated with that. But it's not, there isn't anything currently built into the GMP for it.
So the monthly fee rental for the fence, for example, which is $8,000 a month.
Yeah, that would be above and beyond something that we already.
Yeah, so we've already got money in the GMP for that. For
Yeah,
17 months.
Yeah, for fence, we have temporary fence on the project already.
Okay.
Established for the site. This would be if we had to, I don't know, corral a different area of the site that wasn't, initially anticipated.
Mm-hmm. Understood.
Okay.
And how about for like hazardous waste and paint and this hazardous paint and that kind of stuff and lead waste? We have any set asides?
Well, yeah, I mean, we have a survey that was done, so we have quantities already figured as part of the demo and abatement contract. So
Okay.
again, this would be something, if we ran into something more that wasn't part of the original survey, we could rely on these unit costs.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, this is pretty straightforward. So, as part of the GMP, we developed this log compiling all of the spec sections that make up the bid documents. And then if there were any changes over the course of the addendums, there were 7 addendums that are listed here. We've noted the dates of when certain spec sections changed. And we also vetted this with CSG and DRA. We did that for everything, actually. All the attachments were previously vetted by the design team and CSG. We didn't do this in a vacuum. So we've spent quite a bit of time going through each one of these attachments as I'm going through them with you guys right now. So the spec log, all of the specs obviously are included here, and anything that changed is documented as part of the addendum process. The next attachment is the drawing log. So just like the specifications, it's set up in the same format. So every drawing is identified on this log that makes up the documents that we base the GMP on. And anything that changed over the course of the addendums is documented here. As you can see, there were a number of drawings that were affected by the addendum process. And if no one has questions on that, we can move to the next attachment, which are the allowances. So I mentioned the 6 allowances that are on the general summary. That was the first attachment that we went over. The allowances that are in the general summary are the GMP allowances. So those are the allowances that we hold directly and is not in a trade contractor's contract. So I simply just organized them, broke them out here on this allowance log. Just to take you through these quickly, as far as the CM allowances go at the bottom of this log, the temporary environmental controls. So that is for the temporary heating and cooling equipment that will be needed over the course of construction, as well as the infrastructure for that equipment. Infrastructure being the gas piping to the equipment, and then power to the equipment. Storm and groundwater management, that may be something that comes up that we need to deal with out of this allowance, as well as supplemental steel based on past experience. That may be something that we need to tap into to deal with any coordination as it relates to some of the general trades work coming in and hanging off some of the building steel. There may be some additional supplementary steel needed to accomplish that work, in which case we have an allowance that we would utilize. Winter conditions is always something that, is kind of a wild card on a project. So we've got some money set aside to deal with winter conditions on top of what every subcontractor already owns in their contract for winter conditions. Again, this would be above and beyond what is already part of contractor's obligation for winter weather if their work is in the winter. Environmental remediation. We intentionally kind of broadened the description of this allowance. In the case of the soil, and if we run into soil that is classified other than, what was originally anticipated, and it's going to cost more money to deal with that problem, we have this allowance already set up that we can utilize, so we're not increasing the cost of the overall project. And then as the sixth allowance we created, we have this weekend off-hour supervision allowance line item. If we want to expedite the schedule for any reason, we have this allowance that we can tap into. If we needed to start working Saturdays to expedite the schedule at some point in time, then we have that. And then going back up to the top of this allowance log, you can see each one of these other allowances here are already part of the trade contractor's contract. So it's already built into their bid, if you will. Unforeseen demo and abatement. They have some money there set aside. And with all these allowances, just so everybody knows, we're not just, telling you this is what we've got and we're going to start spending this money. All these allowances will be coming to you guys for review, and you guys will be seeing, where the money's getting spent and giving your approval to move forward with spending each one of these allowances. So just moving down this list, slab and wall patching. Again, a lot of these allowances are based on past experience for a construction project like this one. That's where a lot of these come from, is just knowing that this stuff comes up, and rather than coming to the committee with a change order, we've got these allowances where we can, we've got some efficiency to move forward on a lot of this stuff. Patching drywall, that usually comes up. We're always dealing with ceiling removal and replacement towards the end of the project, as well as going back and touching up areas that need some additional painting. There's operator time that the elevator contractor has to carry in their bid so that so they can operate the elevator prior to its turnover. That's built into the elevator's contract. And then the environmental conditions we have trade allowances built in for the MEP trades, the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing trades, to deal with the temporary heating and cooling equipment. And then site grounds and maintenance. Again, this is to deal with any miscellaneous maintenance that's needed around the, around the site, inside the limits of the project site. And then any additional surveying that may be required. And again, if we don't spend this money, it goes back to the city of Norwich. The trades don't get to hang on to this in their contract. They carved out these specific amounts of money. And we'll be monitoring this closely over the course of the project. And then fence maintenance, again, above and beyond what the contractor has already carried in their base bid. Any questions on any of the allowances? All right.
Frank, this is Pete. Just one question on the temporary environmental controls and consumption.
Yep.
That 514,
Yes.
it seems high compared to what I'm seeing everywhere else. Why is that so high?
A good chunk of this has to do with the equipment rental.
But
But
don't you know what most of that already is, or will roughly be?
yeah, we do. We do. And again, this is kind of like a worst case scenario. So if we're not spending all of that, it's going to go back to the city. So
you would expect to spend a fair amount of that.
yeah, a fair amount. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to move over to.
I could I just ask a question. Somebody
Yeah.
brought something up to me. What happens in the event, the building settles and we have some issues within the first year? If anyone, I don't know if Jim or anyone can answer that.
Well, I mean, all I could tell you is that, as we go through the course of construction, right, we also have a materials testing agency that is the third party overseeing this work and inspecting the work as we get through construction to ensure that we don't have settlement issues down the road.
And Mark, if I can, from the design team side, obviously we'd look to exactly what Frank is speaking to, and that's evidence of the testing that was done in accordance with the documents. So for compaction testing, etc. But if there was some form of settlement or cracking, we'd have all the appropriate consulting engineers go to make their observation, to identify the nature of it, to identify if there's any destructive testing necessary or any other testing necessary to try to get to the root of the problem. That's the beginnings of it in terms of how we begin to address it.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Frank.
Okay, thanks. So attachment 7, these are the qualifications and exclusions, that make up the GMP. I wasn't planning to go through each one of these. But
If I could, Frank,
Yeah.
since I sat in on the meeting this afternoon for a little while there,
Yep.
Just so everybody know, like I would agree, it's not necessary, but I mean, this is what DRA and CSG, that was a good part of the discussion this afternoon regarding, these particular issues, clarifications and this for for the work that's got to get done. So but just so everybody knows what has been going into that, going into this since we adjourned the last regular meeting. Go ahead, Frank, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, a lot of time was spent focused on these clarifications to vet this and agree to the terms, obviously, that obviously makes sense for us and, for the owner, of course, and it made sense to the design team. To give you an example, as a clarification or qualification that we've made as part of this GMP is just to let everybody know that, okay, for all the work that we're providing for this project, it's based on workers coming in Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3:30. The Saturday work or any off hours work, right? It's not included in anybody's contract. But I told you that we have an allowance should we, need to work a Saturday. So that would be like one example out of this listing here. We're letting you know that the software we're going to be utilizing is Procore. That's a web-based software where people can log in from anywhere and get a download of the project. Just talks about, the soil, what we're anticipating as far as dealing with the soil on site, and should there be conditions that aren't part of the original documents, that there's a way to get through that. We've got the allowance that I mentioned earlier, so we kind of go into detail about that.
This is Peter. We didn't get this sent to us, did we?
I think this is in the document.
Yeah,
This
it's all
is,
part of the same file.
yeah, it's all part, yeah. If you scroll down through it,
When was it sent?
a little after 5. Yeah, I know.
I'm not seeing it.
Mark, this is Joe. I have a question.
Shoot.
There was a note on a previous page about the owner obtaining a builder's risk policy. Have we spoken about that with this city manager?
Somebody want to explain that?
I can provide an update on that. As part of our role, CSG has been working with the purchasing agent, who's also the risk manager for the city, in obtaining a builder's risk policy from USI Insurance. The way that a builder's risk policy works is that a builder's risk policy isn't necessary until actual construction starts actually taking place on site. So as it relates to the builder's risk policy, we've provided all the basic information regarding the project, the schedule, the scope of work to USI Insurance Services, who the city uses for builder's risk insurance. They're working out quotes. I actually received an update from them this week that, they're almost there, and we should be scheduling a meeting to discuss that with them. And Joe, to put your mind at ease as well, builder's risk insurance is covered within the overall project budget, and we will be obtaining a builder's risk insurance policy.
And it's not unusual for the owner to hold the builder's risk. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think it was unusual. I just wanted to make sure we had that base covered, that's all. And clearly you do, so thank you.
Peter, did you find
And
it?
I would assume that would be the same for every single one of our projects, correct?
That's correct, Joe.
Thank you.
And again, just, clarifying the alternates, right? We were saying that alternates 1 through 4, they're not part of the GMP. Anything that came through from the design team, but I don't believe we have anything in terms of sketches or supplemental instructions. Anything that was issued post-bid is not part of the GMP. We've added some notes here just based on some of the most recent discussions about some of the existing equipment that's on site, if it's not part of the documents right now, then it's not included in our GMP. So there's some minor stuff here that talking with CSG and facilities, we could work through pretty easily as far as the existing connex and some storage sheds that aren't part of the documents right now. The state of Connecticut project sign, that's something that that we excluded. It's something that CSG has,
Frank?
I think we lost Frank.
Am I locked up?
No,
No.
Frank's locked up, but everything else seems to be working.
Frank, can you hear us? Yeah, he definitely looks locked up here.
Hey, Mike, do you have Frank's number? Can you give him a call to see if he can?
Oh, Steve Smith's on the call, so he could step in.
Yeah, I just sent Frank a text to let him know that he's currently not being heard.
Give him a minute here. Anybody provide entertainment? Oh, here we go. Frank's coming back in. Here we go. And Sheila drops. We glitchy. Okay, Frank. How do you get on mute now?
sorry about that. My
Wonderful world.
battery
wonderful-
was running low and it all of a sudden it just disconnected me. Thought I had some reserve like your car, it's running out of gas. There's no reserve, it just cut out.
All right.
Let me get back to where we were. All right. Back on the screen, you guys see attachment 7?
We do.
Yeah, so the project sign I was mentioning, so we've excluded that, if that comes back, we could work something out through CM contingency to take care of this, but after talking with CSG, it's technically it's not a requirement of the project, but if the city wants this, we can put it back relatively easy.
It just so that everyone is provided a little bit of clarity. It's the normal sign that says that it's funded by the state of Connecticut, that, the governor's name is on there. It's one of those type of signs. If you drive around the city, you'll see some of them. I believe there's one near Uncas Leap Park about an infrastructure project that's currently going on there that was funded by the federal government. So it's similar to those type of signs.
Yeah, I think we've seen him.
Mhm.
All right.
All right, we'll keep swimming. The schedule, again, I'm not gonna go through this detailed schedule, but we did take another look at this schedule and, we looked at the logic, we resequenced some of these activities. So we did bring this in a little bit. We've got a substantial completion date of August 26th. So we're right there in terms of, turnover. We did improve this by, I believe, a week, possibly a couple weeks, from the last time we met about the schedule.
Hi, this is Susan. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
So you're talking about the Stanton project, August 26th?
Yes.
So when would teachers be able to start moving in things? They have to wait until August 26th, or would that happen ahead of time?
So,
Mike, were you going to answer that?
I was gonna just provide clarification, but you can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, typically, once we have our TCO is when we can move people into the building. So yeah, it would be the 26th would
And
be.
the owner move-in duration, Susan, starts in August 12th, so as it relates to the move, that would be when we would start moving teachers' belongings in there. And we'll be working to accelerate that as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm just thinking ahead of how we may have to adjust the school calendar, since typically school starts around that time.
So you're thinking, this is Mark Koulis, teachers could move in approximately 2 weeks before your completion date.
well, that property,
Yeah, belongings and things like that could be moved in.
But essentially, school can't start until we do get a CO for the building, right?
temporary, yeah.
Yeah, at the very least, a TCO is what we would need. We won't get a CO until we're 100% completed.
All right.
So when would the temporary CO, what are you looking at for a temporary CO, the date?
So right now we're showing August 26th.
Okay. We'll have to figure it out. Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. And then the last attachment. Go.
Frank, just one question, and
Yeah.
maybe this goes to Mike, but so like moving the furniture in and all the hardware stuff like that, that's as of July 12th, you start moving that in, Mike, or August?
Owner, FF&E, and technology would start moving in on August 12th.
And you've said before you could do that, you've done it in 2 weeks before, historic.
I have, yes.
All right, the last attachment we've got here is just summarizing the documents, the bid documents that make up the GMP. So all of the addendums, of course, the original drawings that went out to bid, that bid set from October 25th, the specifications, and of course our project manual as well. That gets us to the end. On the Greenville project, it's set up exactly the same way. Just the only thing that's changed are really just the dollar amounts. We can go through that one next if there aren't any more questions for Stanton.
Any other questions for Stanton? Hearing none, Frank, I think I just want to do the approval for Stanton at this point for the GMP. So if I could ask for a motion to approve the guaranteed maximum price for the Stanton project as presented
I'll make that motion, Mark.
by Stacy Gould. Thank you, Stacy. Is there a second?
I'll second Mark Kulis.
Mark Kulos. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All right, folks. Obviously we know this is a recorded meeting and all votes are by roll call. So we're going to start, let's see, with Mark Kulos,
Yes.
Peter Gauthier,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Christine DeStazio,
Yes.
Stacy Gould,
Yes.
Sheila Hayes.
Yes.
The list moves around on me today. Joe DeLucia.
Yes.
You've got,
Myself, yes. Bill Hull,
Yes.
and you've got
Greg
Greg. there.
Bellassi.
Yes.
Yeah, the list was bouncing around on me for some reason. All right, I think that's everybody. Did I miss anyone? Those present and voting, I think there's, is there 10 now? I think that's it. So, so motion carries unanimously of those present and voting. All right, let's go to Greenville, Frank.
Okay. Can you guys see Greenville on the screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, good. Yeah, so again, just like Stanton, the format for this first attachment is identical. In fact, the package, the trade contractor package structure for this project is identical to Stanton, with the exception, I should say, obviously, we don't have a demo and abatement component at Greenville, so that is absent from this general summary. But other than that, all the trade contractor packages remain the same. And then as you guys notice, as I mentioned also previously in other meetings, we do have some overlap as far as the trade contractors go between projects. As an example, we have Capasso as the concrete contractor for both projects. Steel Tech is the steel contractor for both projects, and so on. In terms of the allowances, we have essentially the same allowances as well on this project. It's really no different, and the same markups as well. General conditions, again, full-time staff, PM, APM, and a superintendent. And this project, because of the site component obviously being much larger than Stanton, is what's driving the cost here. But we did come in under budget compared to the CD budget. $67,196,133. Taking into account the pre-construction, the $167,770 brings the total to $67,356,903. And in comparison to the CD budget at $68.5 million, we've come in under budget by approximately $1.2 million. Any questions on that? All right. Again, deducts, again, same setup. We don't have the tennis court, repairs here, obviously, so alternate 3 wasn't used. But again, the deduct alternate is what's included in our general summary of the GMP, as well as the roof screening for the mechanical equipment. That's also included in the GMP. And when we take bids for the general trades package, those bids are set to come in the middle of next month, by the way. We'll have alternate amounts established for the telescoping bleachers as well as the digital sign. And the curbing, just like Stanton, is currently not part of the GMP, the concrete curbing in lieu of the asphalt curb. Any questions on that? If not, we'll keep swimming.
Keep swimming.
Unit prices. Very similar to Stanton. We've got some unit prices to deal with soil based on soil classifications, the fence rental. We've got some rock removal as a unit cost, just because we know we've got rock, plenty of it, over at Greenville. So we have a unit cost established for that from the site work contractor, as well as additional trenching should we need that. Spec log, again, set up the same way as Stanton, no different. We had the same amount of addendums on Greenville. The drawing log, again, same as the spec log and same as Stanton, set up the same way with the 7 addendums. We get to the allowances, which is attachment 6. Really taking into account the same allowances. We don't have the demo and abatement component here, but everything else is essentially the same trade contractor allowances set up here, as well as the 6 CM allowances that I discussed earlier for Stanton, we have set up on Greenville. And again, these allowances will be presented to the committee for authorization, and any allowance we don't spend will be returned back to the city as savings. Qualifications and exclusions. Again, almost a mirror image of Stanton. And it's just like Stanton, this was thoroughly vetted with the design team and CSG to go through each and every one of these notes. But you can see here, as you glance at some of these notes, that they do basically mimic the other project. And we've prepared a baseline schedule that is part of this GMP. We have a turnover date on Greenville of December. I believe CSG is working with the district on the dates for this. So right around the middle of December is where we have this project wrapping up and ready for move-in of students. December 16th. FF&E in November. And the last attachment is just recapping the addendums, the 7 addendums, the original bid documents from October 25th, and our project manual supplemental instructions that was part of the bid documents as well. Anybody have questions on anything that I went through? I know it was quick, but again, it is, you know, the format and the way we presented this is all very similar to Stanton.
Any questions?
Mark, Christine here.
Go ahead.
This is a silly one, but regarding
No, we specialize in that.
regarding the work times,
Yeah.
because especially at the Greenville project, you know, you're on top of houses there and everything. I mean, I don't know what the noise ordinance is for Norwich, but
There is no noise ordinance for Norwich, but we do, the project is limited in the hours they can start
oh, I
work.
understand that. I'm just thinking of the neighbors.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's one of those
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
There will be
That-
there will be noise.
there
So
will be-
there has been some stuff floating around in social media regarding the blasting that is going to be necessary in the
Yeah.
surveys that we're offering people to be done. So this commission and the city plan required a 1,500-foot radius. So
Mhm.
which is, I'm not going to get into all that today because it's not on the
Yeah.
agenda, but that's an impact to the project for sure. So,
Mhm.
but we'll know more when we meet again. So, but
Alrighty.
these are all things that we're planning for.
And
All right.
you know, regarding the neighboring properties, I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, one of the things that we try to do is institute a good neighbor policy, and
Mhm.
we've started that process over at Stanton. I know our staff there is working with Carolina and putting some kind of invite out to where we can have a meeting with the neighboring properties just to let them know what's going to be happening, you know, over the
Mhm.
course of the next several weeks, because we will be planning to mobilize and start setting up fence and developing the site. And we don't want to just show up and, you know, people are hearing things next door and
Mhm.
wondering what's going on. So that is part of the process that we're working through right now.
So you'll try to do something like that with the Greenville neighborhood
Yes.
also? All right.
Yes, we will.
Any word on if you're going to be able to use the synagogue for parking?
Yeah, we have reached out to the synagogue, and you know, it sounds like they're willing to work with us, and we have to, you know, we do have to circle back with them, and I'm sure we can work something out to put some
Yeah.
workers there.
Because you have the other church that's just down the road too, that that lot is rarely used, and they might be accommodating too.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
righty. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Anybody else have any questions? Hearing none, then could I get a motion to approve the GMP for the guaranteed maximum price for the Greenville Elementary School project as presented?
Christine DeStasia, I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Could I have a second?
I'll second it, Stacy Gould.
Thank you, Stacy. Any other discussion on the issue? Hearing none. Let me go through the bottom of the list here. Geez. Mark Kulos, you're back.
I'm back.
On the motion,
Yes.
Sheila Hayes,
Yes.
Cindy Beauregard. You can answer now,
Yes.
Cindy. Greg
Yeah,
Balassi.
sorry. Yes.
Thank you,
I
Greg.
double yes.
Christine DeStasio.
Yes.
Stacy Gould.
Yes.
Bill Hull.
Yes.
Joe DeLucia.
Yes.
Peter Gauthier.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Did I miss anyone? Hearing none. I think that's 10-0. All right, so we'll go back to the regular order. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, everyone.
all right. Review and recommendation of materials testing and special inspections firm for the Stanton Elementary School. Mike, you sent us a little ditty on Friday that I passed out to everyone.
I sure did, and I'm pulling that up right now. Can everyone see my screen?
I can.
Yes.
Yes.
So this is the condensed version of all of the pricing that we had received for the RFP for independent materials testing. CSG had utilized the down schedules to come up with approximate quantities of tests that were going to be needed. I can go through this in as much detail or as little as everyone is looking for. We had a budget for each project of $135,000. Basically, we utilized the down schedule to come up with estimated quantities of tests, as close as we could get them based on the schedule that was in front of us. We applied those estimated quantities of tests to all the unit prices that were provided to us from the different materials testing firms. And in doing that, the Stanton Project Prime Consulting Inc. was the low bidder at $104,939. As it relates to Greenville, TestCon Incorporated was the low bidder for the Greenville project at $103,206. So you'll notice, as far as the building committee authorization that we're requesting, what I am recommending is that the building committee establish a contingency for the contract to bring the values for materials testing up to our budget. What that'll allow is, in the event that we go over the estimated amounts of tests that we have, which would then push us above the estimated dollar value, it would be easier for the building committee to increase the contract, because from the city's side, the $135,000 would be encumbered at that point. So rather than needing to issue a contract amendment, we would be able to just increase, the amount of money that we would be able to expend on those contracts.
Just pay it out of contingency, in other words.
Well, no, so we would encumber the whole $135,000 in the budget. So
Okay.
rather than me dropping the budget down to $104,939 and refunding the balance of the line, or $30,061 back to the owner contingency, in the case of Stanton, it would sit on the line. We would bill against the line as the services were used, and we would already have the authorization to go up to the $135,000 already in place. Now, just so everyone understands, this is an as-needed proposal based on unit prices. There will be a sign-in sheet in each of the Downs trailers as a special inspector comes on site. They'll be required to sign in and out. And then as it relates to their billing, CSG staff will be reviewing the sign-in sheets against the tests that they're billing us for. And by the time the invoices make their way to you folks for authorization, they'll be fully vetted and in accordance with the actual time that was spent on site.
And well, then the obvious question is I guess the obvious answer too is that if we don't spend that $135,000, not all of it, which, if we stay on budget, we wouldn't, then that money would go back to contingency at that point.
Yeah, any unspent money as it relates to this contract is refunded back to the city.
Okay. And so your recommendation then?
To award the materials testing contract for the Stanton Elementary School to Prime Consulting Inc. in the amount of $104,939. Establish a contingency for this contract in the amount of $30,061. Do you want me to go to the next one right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Why not? Let's
And
knock them
for-
all out.
And for Greenville, award the materials testing.
Well,
and
you know
test-
what? Hang on a second. I think we probably should do them separately. So I think that makes sense because they're billed separately. So this is both separately. So,
So you want it in a form of a motion, Mark?
yeah, well, I want a motion. I'll state the motion to approve the hiring of Prime Consulting, Inc. for the amount of $104,939 for materials testing and special inspections, and establish a contingency in the amount of $30,061.
I'll second. I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, by
Stacy
Stacy Gould. Thank you. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll go through let me get to the bottom of the screen here. All right, Mark, you're first. Mark Goulos.
Yes.
Sheila Hayes,
Yes.
Greg Balassi,
Yes.
Cindy Beauregard,
Yes.
Stacy Gould,
Yes.
Christine DeStazio,
Yes.
Bill Hull,
Yes.
Joe DeLucia,
Yes.
Peter Gauthier,
Yes.
myself, yes, 10-0. Thank you. All right,
Yeah.
better get a motion for Greenville to hire TestCon Incorporated to do the materials testing and special inspections for Greenville Elementary in the amount of $103,206 and establish a contingency for this contract in the amount of $31,794.
This is Peter, so moved.
Thank you, Peter. Peter Gauthier.
Mark
Is there a
Pulis, I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
This is Peter, just one question, Mike. I was surprised that Greenville came in below Stanton and given the extra work we have to do on site, no?
The majority of the extra, the buildings are identical in size, so as it relates to the testing that would need to be done for the materials, it would basically be the same amount of materials testing. While there is a lot more work, you know, the building footprint is the same, so compaction testing, you know, concrete testing would be right around the same amount. You know, the schedules at the time were the same, so you know, that's why the values came in the same or close, or close, and Greenville was slightly less, probably because the unit prices, some of the bidders had adjusted their unit prices between the schools. Some of them provided the same. You know, there was quite a bit of thought put into this as to get realistic values, and then the values that we are offering here based on the estimated quantities were then compared to you know, some average cost that CSG had, you know, incurred at the end of projects that we had completed that were similar size. So, you know, I would say that given the information that we had, we were as comfortable as we could proposing these values without understanding certain things like, you know, weather impacts, you know, if,
They're good.
okay.
Yeah, good. Yeah, but weather can impact concrete and things like that. So, all right. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none. Mark Koulos,
Yes.
Sheila Hayes,
Yes.
Greg Balassi,
Yes.
Cindy Beauregard,
Yes.
Christine DeStazio,
Yes.
Stacy Gould,
Yes.
Bill Hull,
Yes.
Joe DeLucia,
Yes.
Peter Gauthier,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Okay, motion passes 10-0. Okay, so that takes care of those. All right, commissioning agent Uncas.
Let me just queue up the share mark. Give me a second.
Roger that.
Thought I had this open. My apologies for everyone to make you wait.
Remind me tomorrow, we'll fire you. Yeah, I'm kidding. Jeez.
Not sharing.
I think I have it turned on. Yeah. Can't believe this is actually going smoothly tonight. God. except for
It's
Frank.
not over yet.
Yeah, okay,
Can it-
except for Frank's internet failure.
Can everyone see the screen or no?
Yeah, you say you got a lot of meetings.
Wrong.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's not Yantic Falls.
Oh, hold on.
We're
Something's
seeing your
going
meetings
on.
in the
Yeah.
screensaver.
I'm trying to adjust this, but my window won't maximize. Okay, share. Should be this one. Okay, can everyone see it now?
Yep, there we go.
I can't see my own screen. There it is. Okay.
A little big.
You guys should have this
There
one
you
too.
go. There you go.
Okay. All right. So this is where it says Greenville Elementary School, it should say Uncas Elementary School. So basically we received 4 proposals on this RFP from Innovative Engineering Services, Wright Commissioning, Sustainable Engineering Solutions LLC, as well as Collier's Project Leaders. Their total fees are listed on a project per project basis. Again, we included the add alternate to provide the 100% functional testing similar to what we did at Greenville and Stanton. There's also an add alternate for emergency generator testing, as well as a combined pricing deduct for both projects. And then when you go down to the bottom, you'll see the combined project pricing total table, which also has the building committee evaluation scores at the far right of the column. The bottom combined project pricing table assumes that both projects would be awarded to the same firms and both alternates would be accepted. The double star is next to Wright Commissioning. While they provided us a qualification package for anyone that reviewed the projects, they would have realized that there was no fee proposal included. So that response was considered non-compliant based on the discussions that we had with the purchasing agent. As it relates to the scoring, if we're only going, well, it's the same scenario either way. Sustainable Engineering Solutions scored the highest on the average and the median. Collier's Project Leaders behind them at 69, median and average score, and then Innovative Engineering Services 49.16 average and a 48.5 median score. So, I think that we need to have some discussion as to how the committee members felt. To some degree, there is a price versus score situation going on here to some degree. So, that would conclude my report on this.
All right. I'm gonna ask Bob Casanova to weigh in here, because I don't know, I'm not sure. Although the numbers aren't huge compared to what we've been dealing with. They are as a percentage are substantially different. So there's a big gap there. And their scoring was much lower. So Bob Casanova, there you
go. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Again, it's an RFP. It's an RFP. You can, pick whoever you want. Doesn't matter the score. So discussion, and if you feel that, the score outweighs the price difference, you can go with the higher rated firm. It's totally up to you guys. There's nothing saying that you have to pick the low bidder.
All right, could I get thank you, Bob. I just wanted to make sure that I thought that was the case, but could I get someone from the committee to weigh in on this?
I think
Mark
IES.
Kulos.
Yeah, I think IES. They didn't have a glossy presentation. They didn't, spend the money on the full color photos and all of that. So that may have acted against them. I mean, if they're performing the same service, just testing materials, and the quality of their work is fine,
That's not, no, this is for the commissioning agent, Mark.
commissioning agent, I'm
Yeah.
saying,
That's a little different animal.
yeah. I mean, if the quality of their work is all right, then let's go with the low bidder. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody has worked with these firms before and has any input as to the quality amongst the three different firms.
Well, Mike was listed as a reference for one of them. I can't remember which one.
So I don't know, that's for some of our staff that are present, if any of them have worked with some of these firms before, the three that have submitted bids anyway. If anyone wants to chime in. I know this is testy sometimes. Jim, you unmuted.
We're currently working with both IES and SES. They both are good. Everybody has sometimes opinions as to who they like better, or, they do things a certain way and they may like that a little bit better, but we've had success with both IES and SES. It's been a while since we've worked with Colliers. I can't even remember when the last time that we worked with them. So, but having both SES and IES as the two low bidders, I think you'd be fine with either one of them.
Okay. Anyone else care to chime in?
I'll take a stab at it.
All right, Stacy.
As I remember, I think, in my opinion, they had I thought, minimal experience with OGA, and
Oh, that's right.
and this is a big project, and I don't want to see that stall what we're doing.
Yeah, no, I would agree if that was an impact. Are they gonna be, do they have to work directly with OGA with this stuff, or?
So
Like-
typically, the information that they provide as it relates to the OGA approvals they work with us as far as a high performance building checklist, and they provide specifications that go into the project manual that provide direction as to how the building system should be commissioned, and ultimately those specifications are included within the design document package and then bid on by contractors. So there's provisions for training, startup of equipment, testing and balancing. They're going to be reviewing the equipment, the startup of the equipment, checking airflow through registers and diffusers, making sure that heating units are heating appropriately.
Okay.
But there's no direct interface that they would have between OGA. It would be that they provide documents either to DRA, to DRA, and then those documents then get submitted to OGA as part of our final plan completion review.
Okay.
Right, but one of the questions was, assess their experience working with OGA and understanding of their OGA process. So if it wasn't really important, I don't know if it should have been included as a question that we weighed.
All right, true enough, probably. Well,
I'm sorry, Mark, this
go
is
ahead,
Sheila.
Sheila, thank you. Go ahead.
So Mike, can you answer this question? Because is this the firm that said they had very little, is that the question, the email I sent you? Is this the firm that was in reference to that email?
I'm trying to
Because you
find.
said,
I'm
you
trying
said
to
at
find.
one
Can you-
time,
Who's
At one
doing,
time, at one time it was OSG something.
No,
It was,
so the email that you sent me was in regards to the state agency, OSCGR versus OGA.
okay,
OSCGR is the former name
Mhm.
of OGA. OSCGR stood for Office of School Construction Grants and Review. It then later got renamed Office of Grants Administration. It's the grant entity within the state of Connecticut that oversees school construction. That was
right,
that
no,
was the
so what
nature
I,
of your question.
right, was Innovative Engineers, were they the ones that stated, and they, only because I don't remember, were they the ones that stated that they didn't have experience?
The firm that stated that they did not have experience with OGA or OSCGR was Wright Commissioning, to the best of my understanding. They were a Philadelphia-based commissioning firm, so it made sense that they didn't have OGA or OSCGR experience.
No, what I'm saying is there was one that said they didn't have the they didn't have the most recent one, the Office of Grants Administration, but they had a lot of experience with what it was before.
If they had experience with what it was before, it's just a name change. So, from my standpoint, I would accept the experience that they had with OSCGR as OGA experience as well.
Right. What I'm saying is I just can't remember which one of because I didn't even look at Right Commissioning when I didn't evaluate them, because they didn't have. It was either Innovative Engineering Services or Sustainable Engineering. One of those two made reference.
Yeah, Sheila, I can tell you that all three have pretty extensive OGA experience.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the list of qualifying projects for innovative engineering services. They provided the 4 projects that we had requested. I'm opening Colliers right now.
But Mike, this is Pete. Innovatives, if I remember correctly, 2 of them aren't done yet. They're in process.
Right, and
That's what my notes show.
right, and probably the 2 of them that they put in there that are in process are probably Stanton and Greenville.
yeah, I was just gonna, so we chose who for Stanton Greenville? Which one?
Innovative engineering
Yeah,
services.
so they already have Stanton and Greenville, right? And I think for the same reason, basically, they were the lower bidder.
I'm seeing that Colliers Project Leaders has experience on at least 5 projects. El Grasso Technical High School, West Haven High School, Platt Technical High School, Francis Walsh Intermediate School, and Candlewood Elementary School. So that would then leave Sustainable also. Sustainable Engineering Services is providing experience on Sustainable Engineering Services provided probably about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, about 32 projects within the state of Connecticut. They had provided project number 1, New London High School, project number 2, Mystic River Magnet School, project number 3, Thames River Magnet School, project number 4, Ox Ridge Elementary School. I think Ox Ridge is Darien, Connecticut. Thames River, I believe, is either New London or I'm not positive where that could be multiple towns.
Yeah, that's in Groton, Mike.
Mystic River Magnet School, I would imagine, is in Mystic, Connecticut. And I would imagine that New London High School is in New London, Connecticut.
And we have innovated for Greenville and Stanton already. Mike, this is Pete.
Correct, yes.
Well, this is Pete, and my comment would be is, even though I thought this was probably the weakest presentation I've seen from anyone that we've had submitted all through the last several years, and Jim gave him a good recommendation, or at least as good as anybody else's. I'd say if we're in for an ounce, we're in for a pound, and given the price, we might as well take them.
Is that a motion?
It's a motion.
Okay. We'll rephrase that as to
You can drop the ounce and the pound stuff.
yeah, okay. To
Christine,
to
Christine
hire EAS.
DeStacio,
Yep.
for everything that Pete just said, it only makes sense
Yeah.
to go with them. So I second that motion.
Second for IES. Any discussion?
The only question I would ask is if they can handle all of those projects.
Well,
They'll be doing that process at different times, though,
right.
right?
So, I can clarify that a little as well. And to mirror Stacy Gould's comments, essentially they're going to be working with us over the next probably 6 to 8 months, developing specifications for the commissioning as we go through the design process on Uncas and Moriarty.
Oh, Uncas and Moriarty, right.
And they'll be working as we go through Greenville and Stanton as it relates to reviewing submittals after the project is built. They'll be doing, they'll flip-flop, right? So as we complete Greenville and Stanton and they're doing on-site commissioning and startup with equipment there, they'll essentially be providing submittal reviews for the submittals that are coming in on Uncas and Moriarty. So the effort is relatively staggered. I think if we were trying to do the on-site commissioning component takes more time than doing the specifications and submittal reviews. If we were going after 4 schools opening around the same time, I think the concern would be a little bit more concerning.
Okay, thank you.
That's circular.
Well,
all right, I get you.
That was politically correct.
Yeah, that's it. There you go. All right, any other comments on the IES, on IES? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. Cindy Beauregard, you're now on my first on my list. On IES? Thank you. On this is for Uncas. Sheila?
Yes.
Joe DeLucia.
Yes.
Greg Balassi.
Yes.
Bill Hull.
Yes.
Stacy Gould.
Yes.
Christine DeStacio.
Yes.
Peter Gauthier.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Did I miss anyone?
Good, Bill.
Bill Hull. There you go.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, did I get you?
Yes, you already
Okay,
did.
all right, good.
I voted twice.
That's America.
Whoa.
10-0, thank you. And Mark Kulos keeps on coming in and out, man. You know what he's got going on. Let's see. So then we have the same issue for Moriarty. Are those the same numbers, Mike, or?
I can bring those back up on the screen if
Yeah,
you'd
could
like.
you?
Let me figure out which screen it is. Screen closed. Bear with me again. I closed that to try and make sure I didn't lock up. Is that the right one or no?
That's Moriarty, which is what I want anyway.
Okay.
So that's with the ad alternates and stuff to 132,890, right?
We've already innovated. Oh, I believe you're looking at the total mark, the
Oh, yeah, okay,
the-
total, okay,
it's 69,230, so the
All right.
total is,
with the combined project deduct.
yeah,
All right. Total base price,
yeah.
124,290, right, okay.
The total that you're approving basically would be 132,890. If we're going with the ad alternates, we accepted the ad alternates for the generator testing and the 100% functional testing on the other projects as well, so.
Okay. Could I get a motion, please? That we hire IES with the ad alternates for Moriarty.
I'll make that motion, Stacy.
Stacy Gould, thank you. Could I get a second?
Bill Hull, second.
Bill Hull, thank you very much, Bill. Any discussion? Hearing none. Greg Balassi,
Yes.
Bill Hull,
Yes.
Stacy Gould,
Yes.
Christine DeStazio,
Yes.
Mark Kulos. Mark,
I do not
this is,
see
oh,
Mark in the meeting anymore.
I see him right, yeah, I see
Oh.
him now.
Oh.
Mark, are you there? All right, we're gonna skip. Mark, I
think
see his
Mark may
face.
be muted.
Yeah, I see him moving.
He is moving.
Mark? On the question? No. Oh, I'm gonna move on here. Peter Guthier?
Yes.
All right. Lost all audio, both microphone and speaker. Okay. That answers that. Let me just ask him. Yeah.
Oh, he says he's lost audio.
Yeah,
and
I got it.
microphone.
I got it. I just texted him. I just sent him
He's
the
also
note in
unmuted
chat.
now at this point.
There you go. You're unmuted now, Mark. You gonna try saying something? No, you can't hear me. We're just gonna skip there. Peter,
Yes.
myself, yes. So it's 9-0.
What about Sheila?
Oh, Sheila? Oh, I missed you. Sorry.
Yes,
Sorry, kid.
that's okay.
And did I miss anyone else, which is entirely possible?
Yes, Mark.
Joe DeLucia, thank you.
Yes, Cindy.
Cindy. How the heck did everything must have flipped? All right, that's 9-0 then. For IES. And folks, I do believe that concludes our business for this evening. So next thing we probably have to look forward to, besides our next regularly scheduled meeting, will be, I imagine we may do some kind of groundbreaking ceremony between now and then. So just so everybody remembers, our next scheduled meeting will be for April 20th. That'll be our regular business meeting.
No, not April 20th.
What is it?
May 20th, I believe.
May 20th. Okay, I'm all right. Jeez. Well, yeah, May 20th. Sorry, I'm looking at, I scroll down on the calendar and it flips, it says May underneath and, you know, whatever. So May 20th.
All good.
It's the 20th. So we'll see you all on the 20th. A motion to adjourn is in order.
Motion to adjourn.
By Stacy Gould. Could I get a second?
Bill Hull, second.
Bill Hull, second. Let's see if I can get the names right this time. Sheila Hayes on the motion.
Yes.
Joe DeLucia.
Yes.
Greg Balassi.
Yes.
Bill Hull.
Yes.
Stacy Gould.
Yes.
Christine DeStazio.
Yes.
Cindy Beauregard.
Yes.
Peter Gauthier.
Yes.
Myself, yes. 9-0. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for attending.